Hey guys, today we're going to talk about weapon and armor enhancements and the changes that they have gone through in mod 16. Now I've chosen this nice scenic place to do this video because I'm tired of standing in the Trade of Blades and I know that's really boring to look at, so I've moved to a new location. So we're going to do armor enchantments first and then weapon enchantments afterwards, and we're going to go in alphabetical order for both of them. I tried to get all rank 12. We're going to be analyzing them at rank 12 because that is the level that the majority of them are in the preview store, and that's where we're getting the majority of our information. However, not all of them are available on the auction house at rank 12, so I did have to improvise with some of the other ones, but you can get the general idea even if they're not the exact same rank. I'm going to keep the old, aka current mod 15 enchantment on the left of the screen, and we're going to try to look at the new ones on the right side. I don't know if that's actually going to work, but that's my plan. That's the plan, Stan! Okay, I'll shut up now. I know I said we were starting with armor enchantments, but I lied. We're starting with weapon enchantments. So the first one is the Bile Thorn enchantment. Now this one I did do at rank 9 because there's not anything higher on the live server because nobody uses this. So currently you deal 31% weapon damage as poison damage whenever you activate a power, and the enemy takes 52% weapon damage as poison damage after 4 seconds. So it's pretty bad. And on the preview server, your at-will encounter and daily powers deal 2.5% bonus damage as poison damage, and the target enemy takes 33% of weapon damage as poison damage after 4 seconds. So this one is basically the same, so it's still pretty bad in my opinion. However, this is only at rank 9, remember, and enchantments go up to rank 14 now. Also, they are not referred to as greater, moderate, transcendent, unparalleled anymore. They're referred to by ranks. We went back to the ranking system. So they are all just going to be called the name of the enchantment and then their rank. Next up, we have Bronzewood at rank 12. On live, Bronzewood deals an additional 45% weapon damage as arcane damage, and targets struck by your encounter powers are marked, and your at-will and encounter powers do 16% more damage to the target while they're marked. You and your allies also do 5% more damage, and targets that are marked also do 10% less damage to you. The duration of the mark is 10 seconds, and it has a 20-second cooldown. Now, on preview, your at-will, encounter, and daily powers deal 4% bonus damage as arcane damage. Targets struck by your encounter powers are marked for 10 seconds. Marked targets take 8% more damage from you and your allies, and marked targets receive minus 2400 deflection. The target can only have a mark applied once every 20 seconds. So this is similar in a way. You're dealing bonus damage, they're taking more damage. It's still a buff for your party members, so this is something that isn't bad, in my opinion, but it's probably not the best either. Next up, we have Dread. On live, Dread deals 50% weapon damage as necrotic damage to target enemies every 4 seconds. Every second for 4 seconds when you activate a power. Reduce the defense of PvP targets by 40% and the damage resistance of PvE targets by 4%. Once every 5 seconds, reduce target enemy damage resistance by 4% for 4 seconds when you land a critical strike once every 5 seconds. That's a run-on sentence. And your encounter power's critical severity is increased by 75%. That's really the important part. And on preview, your at-will, encounter, and daily powers deal 4% bonus damage as necrotic damage. Target enemy is dealt 13% weapon damage as necrotic damage every second for 4 seconds, and reduce target defense by a negative 2400. So there's nothing about critical severity anymore. That sucks. Now we have Fey Touched. On live, you deal blah 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 bonus damage as psychic damage, and your encounter powers siphon away 18% of your target's damage, and it's converted into 18% more damage for you. It's a 3-target AoE, lasts for 20 seconds, and may happen once every 20 seconds. Now, on preview, your at-will, encounter, and daily powers deal 4% bonus damage as psychic damage. Your daily powers decrease target damage dealt by 17% and inflict minus 2400 deflection rating. This effect lasts 10 seconds and may only happen once every 20 seconds. So it was nerfed, basically. It was a 100% uptime on live, it's 50% uptime on preview, and it debuffs them, but that's about it. I forgot about my disclaimer! Disclaimer. This information is accurate as of March 4th, and is very likely to change in some way before it goes live. So please, if you're planning on making any purchases, double check something before you buy or sell. Thanks. And now we have Flaming Enchantment. There was not a Transcendent one on live, so I had to go with Unparalleled, but I think you'll get the point. On live, you do blah blah blah, bonus damage is fire damage, blah blah blah. You burn your foe. Every 1 second for 3 seconds it stacks, blah 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 blah, and each stack increases all the damage you deal to the target by 2%. Okay, you get the point. On preview, your at-will encounter and daily powers deal 4% bonus damage as fire damage. You set your phone on fire. I think I should go to bed. You burn your foe for 3.4% of weapon damage every 1 second for 3 seconds. And burning foes receive minus 800 critical resistance, and they stack up to 3 times. If a foe is affected by 3 stacks, your at-will encounter and daily powers cause the target to explode, dealing 98% weapon damage as fire damage to nearby foes. So, sort of similar. The general gist I'm getting so far is that all of the ones at rank 12 are going to give you 4% bonus damage as some kind of damage. Next up, we have Frost, a favorite of clerics. On live, you deal an additional blah 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 weapon damage, blah 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 blah. In addition, you apply 30% slow, 25% recharge speed reduction, 11% damage resistance reduction, and 11% damage dealt reduction to your target for 10 seconds. Okay. On preview, you deal 4% bonus damage as cold damage. I'm just going to skip that first part every time. You apply 30% slow and 13% recharge speed reduction to your target. That's it. No more damage dealt reduction. It's not a debuff anymore. Insert sobbing face. Now we have Holy Avenger. This is one that I'm actually liking on preview, at least for non-DPS classes. We'll start with live. You deal bonus damage, blah blah. You have a 20% chance on each swing to improve your allies' damage resistance by 20% while healing them equal to your weapon damage for 15 seconds. Any blow you land during this time will deal an additional 42% of weapon damage as radiant damage, and it can only occur once every 45 seconds. Now on preview, you deal 4% bonus damage as radiant damage, and you have a 10% chance on each swing to improve your allies' damage resistance by 12% while healing them for 42% of your weapon damage each second for 10 seconds. This effect can only activate every 15 seconds. So instead of activating every 45 seconds, it activates every 15 seconds, but you don't get the bonus damage whenever you're landing blows whenever it's active. To be honest, I kind of like this one because of how important healing and damage resistance are now. I'm okay with that one. Now we have Life Drinker. On live, you deal blah blah damage as necrotic damage, and you increase your lifesteal chance by 12% and severity by 20% for 5 seconds whenever you activate a power. And on preview, 4% bonus damage as necrotic damage, increase your lifesteal chance by 4%, and when activating your at-will encounter and daily powers, you have a 5% chance to double this enchantment's lifesteal chance for 10 seconds, and this cannot happen more than once every 20 seconds. So this is one of the very few sources of lifesteal that are still available in Mod 16. Next up, Lightning Enchantment. Blah blah weapon damage. The damage chains 3 times at a 100% chance for each chain. If there are no chain targets, you do 33% more lightning damage. 33%. Additionally, all cooldowns are reduced by 2% for the first lightning strike, plus an additional 1% for each chain. And on preview, 4% bonus damage is lightning damage. When you strike a foe, you have a 50% chance of arcing a bolt of lightning off of them to a nearby foe, dealing 40% of weapon damage, and it can chain up to 3 times. So, no bonus lightning damage if there's no targets, and no cooldown reduction. So, to me this seems pretty bad now, but I don't know. Plague Fire Enchantments. Your foe is set on fire every 1 second and is affected by a 3.5% damage resistance reduction and 1.5% damage dealt reduction, and it lasts for 3 seconds and stacks up to 3 times. If the target is affected by 3 stacks, your powers cause the target to explode, dealing a bunch of weapon damage as poison damage. So, that was live. Now on preview, 4% bonus damage is fire damage, and you burn your foe for 3.4% of weapon damage as fire damage every 1 second for 3 seconds. Burning foes receive minus 800 critical resistance, and if they're affected by 3 stacks, you explode and deal damage, blah blah. So that's relatively close to being the same, honestly. And now, Prominence Enchantment. I only have a rank 10 one to look at on preview and an unparalleled one to look at on live, so the values are going to be pretty off, but I think you can still get the general idea. So on live, your powers generate a shield equal to 70% weapon damage, and it stacks up to 20 times. When this effect reaches 20 stacks, it converts into Prominence, while Prominent deals 70% weapon damage as radiant damage to enemies within 40 feet every 3 seconds for 12 seconds, and during this time you may not gain additional shield effects. Now, on preview, 3% bonus damage as radiant damage and shield equal to 20% weapon damage may stack up to 20 times and lasts 10 seconds. When this effect reaches 20 stacks, you become Prominent, while Prominent deal 18% weapon damage as radiant damage to enemies, blah 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 blah. So, pretty similar. Now we have Terror. Your target takes 7% more damage and deals 7% less damage. When you strike a foe, you have a 10% chance to root the target for 3 seconds. On preview, 4% bonus damage as necrotic damage. Whenever you activate a daily power, your foe receives minus 2400 awareness for 10 seconds. Your daily powers also have a 10% chance to root the target for 3 seconds, so that one seems pretty bad to me, because you don't cast dailies very often. Now we have Vorpal. This one is a favorite of DPS classes currently on preview. On live, you strike with an additional 50% critical severity, and your critical strikes now reduce your target's damage resistance by 2% and damage by 2%. And on preview, our at-will encounter and daily powers, I found a typo! Deal 4% bonus damage as arcane damage, and their critical severity is increased by 40%. Their critical severity. I found another typo! Whenever you activate a daily power, increase your critical strike by 2400 for 10 seconds. So this is one of the few sources of critical severity, and that is why people who are running the 50% capped crit builds are choosing this. That is it for the weapon enchantments. I feel like I just talked for like forever, because I was just reading most of the time. Now on to the armor enchantments, and we're going to start with Bark Shield. Actually, yeah, Bark Shield comes before Blood Theft. Yeah. It works the same. The exact same. Like, absolutely nothing about this tooltip has changed. Now, Blood Theft. I'm just going to pretend that this image is here because Blood Theft is one of the only enchantments that is not in the preview store. So I had to borrow somebody else's screenshot to be able to make this comparison, because I don't have one. Blood Theft enchantment on live, when you're below 75% health, you have a 30% chance upon receiving damage to deal a bunch of weapon damage as necrotic damage and heal yourself for that amount. This will happen again once a second for the next 4 seconds, and this can only occur once every 20 seconds. Now on preview, you have a 9% chance upon dealing damage to heal yourself for 50% of the damage dealt. This can only occur once every 3 seconds. And people are really liking Blood Theft because of the lack of lifesteal opportunity in mod 16, and that is a pretty big lifesteal opportunity in mod 16. So, and I've noticed that the prices of these on live just skyrocketed. Briar Twine is the other enchantment that's not available in the preview store, but on live you reflect a bunch of damage back to your attacker. I shouldn't say a bunch, a small amount. And on preview, insert correct thumbnail here that I don't have right now. And now we have Eclipse. Eclipse increases your deflection chance by 23%, and whenever your stamina drops below 20%, your stamina is refilled and no longer depletes. And I only have a rank 10 one to look at on preview, and that stamina effect is not there at rank 10. It has to be rank 12 or higher, I believe, so hold that thought. Okay, so rank 13 on preview increases your deflection rating by 2700, and whenever your stamina drops below 20%, your stamina is refilled and no longer depletes for 2 seconds. This one's going to be really good for tanks. Elven Battle is not on the preview store either, so I will get back to you on that. But on live, you are 80% more resistant to slows, immobilizes, disables, and stuns, and your stamina regen is also increased by 30%. Okay guys, I paid my phone bill while I was waiting to switch characters because I got issue when switching characters, so just thought I'd let you all know. So on preview, it is the exact same. All that or nothing. On live, Fire Burst. Whenever you receive damage, you have a 26% damage to release a fireball at your attacker that explodes, damaging 6 foes for blah blah blah, sets them on fire, blah 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 blah. This isn't on preview either, so I'll get back to you on that. Insert correct thumbnail here. Frostburn on live. On receiving damage, you have a 24% chance to deal frost damage and apply a 30% slow to the target. Also disables NPCs and reduces recovery, deflection, and power by 35% against players. The damage scales with your level, blah blah blah. This isn't on preview either. Cough cough. Update the preview store, thanks. Insert correct thumbnail here. You know, I just realized I've been saying thumbnail this whole time. I really meant to say tooltip. I keep getting those two things confused. I apologize. Now we have negation. When receiving damage, each hit stacks a 3.5% increase to your damage resistance, a 1% increase to incoming healing, and a 1% increase to recovery for 10 seconds, and it stacks up to 10 times. Now, a rank 11 one on preview. Once per second, when receiving damage, each hit stacks a 0.02% increase to your damage resistance for 3 seconds. It can stack 10 times and refreshes its duration with each new stack. Upon 10 stacks of damage resistance, after a 3-second delay, all stacks of damage resistance are consumed and you are healed for 5% of your maximum health. So I really don't think it's supposed to say 0.02%, because that's like such a small amount. And you don't get any increase to recovery or incoming healing anymore either, which kinda sucks. So yeah, I'm probably not using negation on my tanks anymore. Shadow Clad on live, 14% increase to your deflection rating, and a 4% increase to your damage resistance for 8 seconds when receiving damage. It stacks up to 8 times and expires whenever you successfully deflect. When you successfully deflect an attack with 8 stacks, your armor will daze nearby foes for 1 second and place you in stealth for 4 seconds. This isn't on preview either. So hold up. Second to last, we have Soulforged. We all know what that one does. You fall in battle and it automatically resurrects you and heals you a tiny bit. And you gain 3 seconds of CC immunity, and it can only trigger once every 75 seconds. Hold that thought. Soulforged is exactly the same. And lastly, we have Thunderhead. Whenever you're hit, your foe takes your weapon damage as lightning damage, and it can happen more than once every 2 seconds. When a foe hits you with a critical strike, your armor has a 55% chance to deal some weapon damage as lightning damage and stun the foe for 3 seconds, as well as any other foes within 20 feet of you. And it cannot happen more than once every 20 seconds. And people were using this a lot in PvP, I know. And this one's not on preview either. Well guys, that's all of the weapon and armor enchantments. Yeah, I really should go to bed. I can't talk anymore. So, I hope you guys found the video at least somewhat informative, and can now make some sort of decision on what type of enchantment you might want to use in Mod 16, if you want to try a new one or not. It is a pretty large investment to make one of these or buy one of these, so I would recommend you do not make any sort of big purchases or sell anything yet. I know a lot of people already have, but a lot can change in the time between now and when it goes live. Like, they could revert some changes, they could make a whole nother wave of changes to these enchantments. We don't know that yet. And that's why I always advise against people spending a whole bunch of AD as soon as it hits preview and not waiting. So, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it so much, and let me know in the comments what your new favorite enchantment is. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more Mod 16 informations. Bye!